and welcome to this week's edition of Summit. The second Sunday of Easter. Alleluia, alleluia. He is risen. Jesus Christ is risen today. Ah ha 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 ha. Hallelujah. My favorite one, like I said last week, love seeing all of your songs in the comments and sharing those things. Much appreciated. I hope you continue to sing those Easter hymns because we got a whole Easter season and it kicks off with this Sunday, the second Sunday of Easter, also known as Divine Mercy Sunday. St. John Paul II declared that the second Sunday of Easter would be Divine Mercy Sunday in commemoration of the revelations given to St. Faustina on Jesus' divine mercy. Now, if you've ever seen a picture of Jesus with those rays of red and white shooting out of his heart, that is the image of divine mercy. It says, Jesus, I trust in you, underneath it. So beautiful Sunday this week. We're talking about God's mercy. Some bigger themes though. Let's dive into that and then let's highlight God's mercy in the Psalm, because why not look at the Psalm this week? Big picture stuff. First reading, got the book of Acts, and we have this wonderful account of the early Christian community, how they lived together and how they prayed together. And then there's this also, there's this cool little bit at the very end, which I'd call to mind for us to pay attention to. Every day they devoted themselves to meeting together in the temple area and to breaking bread in their homes. They ate their meals with exaltation and sincerity of heart, praising God and enjoying favor with all the people. And every day the Lord added to their number those who were being saved. And it's interesting because you get this whole sense in the reading that really what's causing people to believe is the fact that they see this community of people who are living joy. They are different than everybody else. They have these gatherings in the temple where they pray, and there's this renewed hope that exists in their hearts. In the second reading of the letter of St. Peter, we sort of get the same idea. St. Peter says, in this you rejoice, talking about people's salvation in Jesus. He says, in this you rejoice, although now for a little while you may have to suffer through various trials, so that the genuineness of your faith, more precious than gold that is perishable, even though tested by fire, may prove to be for praise, glory, and honor at the revelation of Jesus Christ. Even though you have not seen him, you love him. Again, this image of people who even in times of trial, in times of suffering, rejoice in their faith and are proven by fire. Even for now, at this point, Peter's writing to people who didn't know Jesus' ministry. They didn't see him heal people. They did not encounter him in his teaching. He's writing to a group of people who are new. These people aren't necessarily even, they weren't there. They just heard about Jesus. They saw this group of disciples worshiping and praising, and there was something beautiful about that that drew them in, where they came to believe in Jesus Christ and the resurrection as well. And it puts some light on the gospel this week, which I always feel bad when I see this gospel. I'm like, oh, poor Thomas. Thomas was there through all of Jesus' ministry. Thomas probably cast out demons with the other disciples. He was there through it all. And yet, what do we remember poor Thomas for? Doubting Thomas. Thomas, he just didn't believe. Like, come on. You probably would have struggled to believe this too if suddenly you got back to the room that was locked where all of your friends are and they're like, hey, while you were gone, craziest thing happened. Jesus just walked through the wall, crazy. He was suddenly in our midst and he was here. You'd be like, you've all been locked up for a little bit too long. And so we remember doubting Thomas. But Thomas asked, I think, some really logical questions. And then Jesus looks at Thomas and says, you believe because you've seen me, but blessed are those who haven't seen and believe. And it puts this spin on all of the other readings, which is very kind of cool. That how do people believe now in Jesus? How do they really believe that he's alive? One, through grace. It's always a gift. It's a grace to be able to know who Jesus is. That's where faith comes from. But through our witness as well. Like the witness of our communities, the witness of who we are, the witness of how we endure in trials and how we suffer well and how we rejoice well. We are the people who cause belief, not in that we are able to make somebody believe, but our witness, our lives, our words can be the catalyst that God can use to bring grace into somebody's life so that they might believe. Now, there's one big way to do that, and I think that's really the theme of this week, which is mercy. The psalm this week is about God's mercy, and the antiphon, the thing we say is, give thanks to the Lord for he is good, his love is everlasting. I want to key in on the beginning of the psalm, so you got to listen because you might miss it as it's being sung. Let the house of Israel say, his mercy endures forever. Let the house of Aaron say, his mercy endures forever. Let those who fear the Lord say, his mercy endures forever. God's mercy is the way that he shows us love, because God and humans, we're not on equal footing. And nothing, God's like up here, we're here. Nothing we can do can ever bridge this gap, because God is God and we are not. So every time God reaches out to us, it's mercy. God lowers himself, humbles himself, and we see this right through Jesus Christ, who humbled himself, becoming obedient to death, even death on a cross. It's what St. Paul writes in Philippians, that this humility is mercy that's extended to us, and that love is extended to us. And when we experience God's love, because it's not a have to, God doesn't have to extend us mercy. God doesn't have to forgive us. God doesn't have to love us. We don't add anything to God. God is perfect. God is whole. God is perfectly holy. It pleases God when we love him. It pleases God when we worship him, but it doesn't add anything to God. And so when we realize this, and we realize that we still exist, we still breathe, we are still saved in Jesus Christ, we rejoice and we say, God's mercy, it's everlasting. It endures forever. When we recognize the immensity of God's mercy and love, that can fill us with a profound awe. And what happens when we have that awe? We live that and we share that. And we become merciful. We share that. That was one of the tenets of Jesus' teaching is, ask for forgiveness and forgive others. Take the mercy you've been given and exercise that as well. And that is one hallmark of Christianity, of our Catholic faith, that when people see it, especially in our world today, they marvel and they say, what makes you act like that? Well, not because I'm a great person or I'm awesome, but because I've been shown mercy. And as I've been shown mercy, I'm called also to give it. So this Divine Mercy Sunday, my challenge for you is this. Make sure that you're living mercy. And it can be kind of weird, just like, how do I live mercy when I'm maybe still kind of on lockdown or I'm social distancing? With the people who are closest to you. Find ways to show love and to show mercy and rejoice in God's mercy. And that is how we become witnesses, and that is how we live in love. Now, if you are saying, well, I don't interact with a lot of people right now, take some time to reflect on God's mercy. Be in solitude with the Lord and know how good he is, so that we would say, give thanks to the Lord for he's good. His mercy endures forever. And that's what we can take, and that's the mantra we can take through this Easter season. So enjoy this, the second week of Easter, Divine Mercy Sunday, reflecting on God's mercy, God's love, and how we as a Christian community are the people that are seen by others, and they look at us and they are the ones who can say, I've never seen this Jesus, but I've seen you, and I see Christ in you, and I believe. And blessed are they, and blessed will we be. Enjoy the rest of your week, my friends. I'll see you next week back here on Summit.